Hi, welcome to Storm the Field. It's our college football podcast. I'm Mathis Odie. I'm joined here by Trey and Rob, and we're going to talk a little Big 12. And so, Trey, we're going to start with you. We got Iowa State.
All right, I got Iowa State going 5-7. I have them losing their rivalry game to Iowa at Iowa, which is kind of expected, and then I just have them pretty much being mediocre for the rest of the year. So not too much on Iowa State.
I'm pretty much the same with Iowa State. I just have them winning 3 games in conference against the 3 worst teams: Kansas, West Virginia, and Texas Tech. So 5-7 overall, 3-6 in conference.
All right. I'm a little higher on them. I got them at 6-6. I could really see them anywhere from 8-4 to 4-8. It's when you lose a lot, you don't really have a whole lot that you know about with a young team. And so it's a really Josh Pate calls them one of his chaos teams. They lost their quarterback. They had a lot of seniors last year, and so I kind of just threw them right in the middle of the range I think they could be in. I think Quentin's pretty similar with that. He can't be here tonight, by the way. So, but he's also got them at 6-6, and so we're gonna move on. Trey, we got Kansas.
I mean, Kansas is one of the worst teams in the Power Five. I have them going 1-11 because I did take a homer pick and pick Duke beating Kansas at home.
Bad take.
Hey, I had to throw something in there.
I agree with Trey. Kansas is potentially not going to make it into the conference realignment. But I have them winning 2 games, both of them non-conference. I think Duke is worse than Kansas. I also have them beating Tennessee Tech at home. So 2-10 overall, 0-9 in conference.
They're going to make conference realignment because of their basketball team.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but if it was strictly football, probably not.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
What stinks is I think that this team is a little better than 2-10. I don't think they're great, but by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, we know they had a big win last year.
Yep, in
Yeah.
Austin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Win for 2. Win
Yeah.
for 2.
I don't know how much longer we can keep pretending that's a big win.
I mean, when you're saying that you're back every year, it's going to be a big win for any team that beats you.
Yeah, I thought it was a big win last year because Texas was back, weren't they?
Oh yeah, not like they went anywhere. But I got them at 2-10. I have no idea out of all G5 teams would you play Houston in the non-con. I think if they stack their cards right, I mean they could win. They could win a conference game again. And so if they had an easier non-con, that could get them at 4-8. But I think this team's going to be at 10-2 or 2-10. Sorry, I don't. It's a bad mistake to make. That's a big swing. But we're gonna move on to their neighbor. Quentin's also got them at 2-10, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to their neighbors in the same state. We got Kansas State, who seems to be like they're everyone's sleeper in this conference this year. Trey, what do you got to say?
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Kansas State is a sleeper team. I feel like they're going to upset one of the top 4 teams this year in Oklahoma State, Baylor, Texas, and Oklahoma. And I have that coming at Oklahoma week 4.
I'm not very high on Kansas State. I've got them. I got them with a rare win over an SEC team, Missouri. That is Missouri, right?
Yes.
Week 2 or week 3. I got them 4-5 in conference, 7-5 overall, beating West Virginia and Kansas, Iowa State and Tech. So I kind of just put them right in the middle of the conference, just a mediocre team. Only reason they're bowl eligible is because they have non-conference games.
Yep.
I got them 8-4, just like Trey and Quentin. I tend to think that they got some sort of upset in them. Manhattan is not an easy place to play, and not Manhattan, New York, Manhattan, Kansas.
Kansas. Yep.
Uh, I think they're a good team. I think they got a good coach. my real question is, you got Martinez from Nebraska as your quarterback, and he has some talent, but he also has always struggled with turnovers. And in a conference where I think you're going to play a lot of close games, those turnovers might be devastating. And so I'm really interested to see how that's going to go. But I think I got him at 8-4. And Quentin's got him at the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Oklahoma. Trey?
Oklahoma this year, they're retooling. I mean, they're fortunate they play in the Big 12. It's probably one of the weakest conferences in the nation. They have, I feel like, three easy non-conference games in UTEP, Kent State, and Nebraska, which so happens to be a rivalry game that I feel like they're going to walk away with. I have them losing to Texas this year just because I feel like Texas, even though they always say we're back, I feel like this year they could beat Oklahoma because they haven't beat them since what, 2018? And I just feel like Texas has something going on down there that will allow them to beat Oklahoma.
Okay. Rob?
I have Oklahoma going 10-2, 8-1 in conference. I have them losing a close game at Nebraska. Nebraska almost beat them last year, and I think they're going to finally learn how to win those close games. I have them losing to OSU at home, but I will say this, sneak peek, they will not lose to OSU twice this year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Quentin's a little lower on them than we are. I'm not sure quite which games he has flipped from us. He's got him at 9-3, and if I were gonna make his argument for him, you got a first-year coaching staff. You got a brand new quarterback in there. You lost a lot when Lincoln Riley took about half your team to SC with him, and so 3 slip-ups isn't a terrible year. It's a great start, but I think we're just a little higher on them. Personally, I just had them at 10-2 by default. I also had that Texas game circled. I thought, hey, if there's a year that Texas is going to beat them, I think this would be the year. And I won't get into my spoilers later, but I changed that after what I heard. I went a little lower on Texas than I had been previously. And so that's all I'm going to say right now. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but that moves us on to Oklahoma State. And Trey seems to have had an on-air change of heart.
Yep, I did.
All right.
Did. The game I flipped was Kansas State. I had them mixed up with Oklahoma, and so I had to go back and fix my mistake. But the only two losses I feel like Oklahoma State this year is going to pick up is at Baylor and at Oklahoma. Those are just going to be two hard-fought games. Last year at Bedlam, they won a real close one at home. So I feel like Oklahoma's going to walk away with it this year, and I feel like Baylor at Baylor is just a difficult game to play.
Okay.
I think OSU is the best team in the Big 12 this year. I can't let them go 12-0, so I had to pick a loss, and it was difficult, and it was tough for me to make this call. But I see them losing at home to Texas. But I do have them in the conference championship, and we're not going to get into that too much. But I have them 8-1 in conference, 11-1 overall.
Okay. Quentin and I are both a little lower on them than you. I got him at 9-3. Quentin's got him 8-4. I'm just gonna keep it one singular argument. So just know I think they're gonna lose 3. Quentin's got them losing 4. And so if I were to go into this, I would say, hey, you lost Jim Knowles. And if he's the coordinator that we think he is and what he can do to transform that Ohio State defense this year, then that's got to say something about what your record could be. Because if they're getting it, you're losing it. And they had a lot of close games last year that they were fortunate to win. They also had some games it was a tough loss, especially that last yard that kept them from winning and beating Baylor twice. And think about how
And
different the narrative
possibly
would
being
be.
NCFP.
Yeah, they probably would have made it in. I don't know. When you lose a major piece like that, I don't know if you can just immediately turn around and be ultra successful next year in terms of double digit wins and conference championship berths. Could it happen?
But they
Absolutely.
are in Big 12.
Yeah,
This
anything can
is the
happen
Big
in the Big 12, but
Yeah.
it's just extremely difficult. And so I think some of these other teams have a this was a good chance to pass them. But I do think Mike Gundy is the second best coach in this conference. And I only got him second because of the team that we're mentioning next. And so, before I get into it, that concludes the first half of our Big 12 rankings, and we're about to get into this next part. And so, we will be starting with Baylor. Trey, you got them 11-1.
Mm-hmm. I, on the contrary, think Baylor is the best team in the Big 12. They just had something going on last year. And I feel like they didn't lose too many pieces. I feel like they're going to keep it rolling. The only loss I do have them losing is to Texas, the last game of the season, right before the conference championship. I feel like that's going to be their one slip up of the year.
Okay.
I have them 7-2 in conference, 9-3 overall. Had them losing 2 road games, BYU and OU, and I have them losing at home to Oklahoma State. So falling 1 game shy of a return trip to the Big 12 championship game. I think they're definitely in the higher echelon of the Big 12, and it really at the very top, it's kind of a toss up. I just see them just not making it just by 1 game.
Okay. So, me and Quentin both have them at 10-2. I think this is an incredibly competitive conference. I don't have a single team. I don't think I have a single team going undefeated in the regular season or in conference play. So I got them at 10-2. Rob, I got them. I also have them losing that BYU game. I don't know what Quentin has, but then I don't have them losing that OU game. I have them winning that game on a road, and I think that very close, very emotional win. I think maybe Kansas State catches them. One thing that Dave Aranda, one thing he was really upset about last year is the fact that they played up to their competition. And so when they played an inferior opponent, they didn't bring their A game, but they sure did when it came to the bigger opponents. So I think that Dave Aranda going into his third year is able to beat Venables in that first game, but maybe his team relaxes a little bit, knowing that would be your only conference. You're undefeated in conference going with 3 games left, so that already in this conference can probably get you pretty close to being a lock for that championship game. And so I think you end the season 10-2. Probably that would give you a rematch against OU in the championship. And who knows what happened then. And so now we're going to move on to TCU.
I have TCU in the middle of the pack. They're better than the worst teams, and they're worse than the teams that are better than them, which is expected. I have them going 6-6, and I don't have them like making any major upsets this year, which is surprising because TCU normally pulls off something special.
Yeah, I think TCU on the rise. I've got them 8-4 overall, and I have them right in the middle of the pack of the Big 12. Really, the 4 losses are to the 4 teams that I think all have a really good shot at winning the Big 12, and that's OU, OSU, Texas, and Baylor. So 5-4 in conference, 8-4 overall.
Okay. Quentin's got him just about as Trey. I got him at 7-5, and I guess it's just kind of the way the games came out for us. I got them beating the teams that they should beat, and I have them losing to the teams that they shouldn't. I don't expect anything shocking out of TCU this year. we're not really sure what to expect out of that quarterback battle. Last thing I heard, it was pretty undecided. And when you got a first year coach, especially after having a guy in there for about 20 years, I have no idea what to expect. So I'm just going straight off roster talent. And so this is a team I could be very wrong about. They could be anywhere from 4-8 to 9-3. I think 6-6, 7-5 is probably where you land. Just pretty pedestrian season, but that's Sonny Dykes. He hasn't really got a chance to get a recruiting class in there yet, so we'll see what he does in the coming years. But for this year, I got TCU at 7-5. I don't know if y'all are ready for this one. About to listen to an A&M fan talk about Texas.
We're back.
That's
All
a
right.
10-yard penalty, right?
We'll warm you up into it, so we'll start you off with Trey. It won't be as harsh.
Bias.
Yeah.
I have Texas going 9-3. I have them losing to Alabama, which is expected, and then I have them dropping to Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State, and then having that bye week, and then coming back and losing to Kansas State in Manhattan, which is something that many people wouldn't do, but I just feel like Kansas State can pull that off, especially at home. And then I have them at the end of the year upsetting Baylor, like I said earlier.
So I've got, I'm going with the media hype, and I'm going to play along and say Texas is somewhat back. I think they had a rude awakening last year and didn't know how to handle the pressure of joining the SEC, and got a rude awakening against Arkansas last year. I think after the Alabama game, they're going to wish they had decided to stay in the Big 12. That being said, that being said, I have them losing 3 games, a big loss to Alabama at home. I have them losing to OU, and then I have them losing to Baylor at the end of the season. They're already out of the championship picture before they go into that Baylor game. But 9-3 overall, 7-2, and you know, they are probably the hardest team to predict.
Yeah.
They could go 10-2, maybe even 11-1. You never know that, but they can also go 4-8.
Yep.
So they're just too emotional, and you know they have high expectations, and rightfully so. But things don't go right, they kind of fall apart and implode. So Alabama could be the downfall of their season. If they win or play tough against Alabama, it could be a whole new season for them. So we'll just see.
Yeah, and Quentin's got them the same thing, 9-3. Probably similar rhetoric if I had anything to say. Before I get into my prediction, which you can already see on screen, but I just want to give y'all a little preface. We are very new to this prediction world. This is our first year really getting huge into college football. Like we've always watched, but in terms of media and stuff like that, this is our first year, first week. And so we will be the first to tell you we do not know. And so this is just the best thing we can guess. And with this Texas thing, I'm going to echo what I just said. I do not know. And this is coming from the resident Longhorn on the podcast.
To be fair, though, the media doesn't know what to do with Texas either.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we're not that far behind. But I'll be honest with you. If no one else is honest with you, I will. And I've been a Texas fan for most of my life. I don't really know what you'd call me anymore, mate. I've honestly grown to just be a fan of the sport. I'm trying to keep my personal bias out of it. But if I'm looking from a football perspective, I'm giving that insight because I'm very plugged in. And I have been very plugged in into what this team does. And that O-line situation, I have no idea what to think. You got a bunch of seasoned guys, but then you got a bunch of young guys. And those young guys, on an O-line, you really have to have a lot of togetherness and consistency and chemistry whatever you want to call it. And some of those young guys, they haven't been there very long. And so you don't really know what you're going to get. Quarterback situation, I know there's been a lot of hype about Quinn Ewers, but he was just in a battle with a guy who got his job taken from him. And it was a legitimate battle. He's had some turnover issues, had some issues with the speed of the game, and I want him to succeed. I really do. But you start off with a rocky season. You don't really have time to get your legs under you. It's been the starter for less than a week now. And so I think 8-4 is probably what you hope for. I think 9-3, 10-2 would be great. But I think 8-4 is what you should get. I think 7-5, 6-6 is definitely in the cards though. And yeah, I think that you're obviously going to have some improvement.
Don't forget, they still have to play Kansas.
Yeah, they do.
This year too.
Woo!
No, last year they just lost that locker room. I don't know if y'all ever saw that Bo Davis video.
Oh yeah,
but a lot of those problem guys are gone. Not saying you're not going to have problems, but a lot of the locker room issues are not going to be the same. And I know people very close to the program. I've been very involved, have friends, and so I don't really know what to expect. I don't really think they know what to expect, and so just to 8-4. That's really all I can throw at you. I think we tend to agree a little bit more on this next school though as we transition to Texas Tech.
I mean, it's Tech. There's nothing much to say about them. They beat the teams that they should, and they lose to the teams that they should. I don't have any big wins, no upsets, nothing. So pretty run of the mill stuff.
Before Rob says anything, we're gonna start having an I mean calculator for Trey or counter. I mean,
Hey,
I mean.
That's how I talk, man.
Texas Tech. That's a pretty tough, non-conference schedule. Houston, North Carolina State. I've got North Carolina State winning the ACC, and I only got them winning 2 games in conference: Kansas, and West Virginia. Just not like they used to be. Was it the run and gun? Yep. They just don't have it this year.
They haven't had it for a long time.
Yeah. 3-9 overall, 2-7 in conference.
Quentin's right there with me at 4-8. My thing is, I think this is a talented team. I don't know how talented. They got a brand new coach in there, which I think is probably a good thing. He's Texas high school football legend, and so he just recently came up the college ranks. I think they're doing good in the recruiting. I think it's a very exciting future, and I think this team could go to a bowl game potentially. It's just when you have a loaded non-con game, it's just tough for me to see. And you got that Kansas State game, that Oklahoma State game, that TCU game. You got those in that Iowa State game. You got those all on the road. I mean, yeah. You get Baylor at home, you get Oklahoma at home. I think that's a rough home draw to get. You'd rather play those games that you're probably going to lose on the road and get some of those swing games at home. Because if you're going to lose that game, regardless of where it's played, you'd rather it be away so you can save some of those swing games as your home games. And so I think it's just a tough draw they got this year in the conference, home away swing of things. And so I got them at 4-8, but I definitely could see even up to 6-6, 7-5. But once again, someone has to take some of those lumps. And speaking of taking lumps, West Virginia. Trey, take it away.
West Virginia. Vegas has them going over under 5.5, and I have them right at 5 wins. Fortunately, they have pretty easy non-con games, with the exception of Pitt. So I have them picking up those 2 wins, and then I have them beating Kansas, Iowa State, and Kansas State in conference. I have them losing that Pitt game. I feel like Pitt's just a better team than what West Virginia is, and they're playing in Pittsburgh, so it's going to be a tough place to play.
I see them being just a little bit worse than Texas Tech, 3-9 overall. I see them losing on the road against Pitt, and I think what's being that's that old rivalry that's come back after 15 or 20 years. I think it's called the backyard brawl. Might be wrong on that. 10 years.
And yeah, it's the background brawl. Backyard.
The only positive I see for West Virginia is they're going to be 3-9 overall, but at one point in the season they're going to be 3-1. I'll just leave it there.
Nope. Very fortunate that they play Kansas, Townsend, and their next game all in a row.
Yeah. They're going to have a 3-game winning streak, and a lot of teams can't say that.
Yep.
Quentin's got them going bowling, and
oh my gosh!
And
that's why he's not here today. That's embarrassing.
I don't know what to think, because they got to play everyone else, and they got a lot of teams I don't know about. Like, what should you expect out of TCU or Tech in their coaches' first years? I don't know. And so and is Kansas State going to live up to the hype that they have this year as being everyone's dark horse? I don't know. And so they could win one of the games I think they lose. They could lose one of the games I think they'll win. They got, no matter what, though, they're going to have plus quarterback play as long as JT Daniels is healthy.
Yep.
He's playing under a coordinator he played for at USC. What you say, Trey?
I said they're a very hard team to predict historically, minus the Will Greer years.
I'm telling you, if there's one prediction conference that we're going to get incredibly wrong, it's going to be this one. This is just what Josh Pate would call chaos team. This is a chaos conference. This entire thing, Baylor last year had the 6th best odds to win, which means there's only 3 teams that had worse odds to win the conference last year, and Baylor won it. And so I don't want to say it's anyone's conference, because you got Kansas, West Virginia, Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And so, but I think there's probably 6 teams in this conference who legitimately could win. And if there's a conference that has a team that doesn't win double digits, it's this one.
Yeah, I would say 4. I wouldn't be surprised if 4 different teams had a chance at winning this conference. I say it's very bottom heavy. It's very bottom heavy.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's pretty competitive at the probably the upper third, the top 3 or 4 teams. So, I mean,
competitive. I would say somebody has to win that game.
Yeah. We're going to predict a conference winner at some point, not because we think anyone's going to win, but because someone has to win by default.
True.
And I don't want to look down on the conference. I think there's some great coaches, and I think there's some very talented things. I just think there's no top dog metaphorically. Like, it's up for grabs right now.
No clear top dog.
Very competitive, and I think it's going to be a really interesting conference to watch.
And we'll be watching it for sure.
Yeah. Every Steak Saturday. You got the flag right there. And that will wrap up the Big 12. We are trying to get all these done before week 0. We're doing the Pac-12 right after this, so we're going to end this podcast and go straight into the next one. And we'll by the time you see this, both will be up. And we're getting the SEC and our week 0 predictions tomorrow night. Y'all just get ready for the season. No, y'all think we're a little boring. We think we're a little boring right now, but it's gonna be a lot more fun once we got football playing. And so, what is it now? If we got Wednesday, we got 2 more days without football.
Yeah, we're less than 72 hours away from kickoff.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yep.
But yeah,
that's the game, isn't it?
We'd appreciate y'all if y'all like the video, followed us on Twitter, Instagram, like the or comment, subscribe, anything y'all want. We really want to create some sort of community where we can hear from y'all hear from us, ask us questions. We'll have some Q&A stuff. If y'all have any Q's, then we'll have some A's. And
might not like the answers though.
Yeah, I was gonna say we may not make good predictions, but one thing I promise, we are gonna become more and more entertaining. This is our 3rd podcast, and we're getting better with each one, I believe. So just stick around for a little while, and you'll be happy you did.
Yeah, and we really appreciate y'all watching. We're learning as we go, and that's all we really got for y'all. Thanks for staying around, and we will see y'all again soon. Y'all are going to be sick of us.